I am going to remake advanced table cells sample application. So first of all, I'll explain how this one works. Then I'll create a new project, use some of the classes and or modify them. And in the new, um, when I remake the sample, I'll be using storyboards and arc techniques. So basically what this one does is that it looks like this. There's a table. The cells are advanced table cell views and they are constructed using special classes. There's a picture, ratings, price, and all of that stuff. When I click on it, nothing happens, but the cells are different. And that's achieved by using three different classes. Individual subview, individual subview based application cell, or composite subview based application cell, or hybrid subview based application cell. Three different ways to make the same cell. It looks the same, but it's done in three different ways using one of these classes. Now, in order to see one or the other in the root view controller, they have defined three macros: use individual subviews cell, or the composite, or the hybrid. Now, whichever you want to see, you put 1 in front of it and put 0 in front of the other two. So right now I'm saying use individual subview cells, which is this class. So by putting 1 here, I'm saying use this class. If I put a 1 here, I'm going to say use composite, this class. Now, to make sure that one of these classes is being used in that class, like an individual subview based class, I put an nslog method in the name of the class. So when I run it, it'll show up in the debugger which class is being used. That's one thing. The other one is based on which one is set to 1. There's code down below right here. You see right here there are directives at compile time. If use individual subviews, if this one is set to 1, compile this piece of code. Else if this one is set to 1, compile this piece of code. Otherwise, if this one is set to 1, use this piece of code. So one of these three can be controlled. The correct code will compile to use one of these three classes based on what you set as 1. So that's how all of this links together. Now if let me run this example. I said use individual subviews class. You see how it spits out every time it makes a cell, it makes it based on individual subview based application class, and that is getting spit out from right here. I am going to go back here and make this to 0, this to 1, composite view. So I'm thinking the cell will be based, it'll look the same, but it'll use this code, this class. So I should be able to see this here instead of individual subview based class. I should be able to see this text printed. And sure enough, you see now it says composite subview based application. It looks the same, but a different technique has been used. So we are making custom table cells, and we are making them in 3 different classes. That's what this whole sample is about. So I'm going to see now a hybrid subview based class. And I'm going to drill down into these three classes later on. Now I am going to make a new class. I'm going to import cells folder. So I get all of these classes and modify them if need be. In the resources, I'm going to import those resources because there are some PNGs here. Then I will delete the zip file because I'm no longer going to need it. No, I'll keep it because that's one of the techniques. And then there's a data list .plist that's used. You see how there are 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, there are 6. How many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, zero based index, 6 cells. All this text and stuff is coming from data list.plist. So we also look at that technique of how that's data list.plist is used as a data source for displaying things in the table. So I'm going to start by creating a new project. It's a it's a table view application, so basically a single view would work. Here's the storyboard zip. Single view. So in the single view I'll be able to drag a table view controller, but first of all I need to import add files for discard me, and I see right here classes. I'm gonna grab that. Also I was looking for um, resources, advanced table cell. There were images. Certainly do need the images. When I go to add files, they show up in a different way, and that could be because they have organized it different way in the file system and another way in the project explorer. So that's no big deal, but I can just do this. I need a data list. I need a data list.plist. See, I'm not able to import that class in. Use another technique. I'm going to put these both projects side by side and drag them in here. To make it look exactly the same, I'm going to delete that images folder, move to trash, and drag the resources folder I'm going to have to create that resources folder. New group. Yeah, it's good learning. So now I should be able to, I clicked here, hold down my shift key, click there, and drag them all until the resources is highlighted. Copy them in here, yeah, finish. So now I have, oh, they didn't end up in the resources folder, but I could move them. Yeah, see, dragging and dropping. Now they're in the resources folder. In the other class, resources folder is down and below classes. So I could move it right. Here I want it right there. Leave it right there. I want it, no, not in the classes. I want it after the class. Yeah, I can drag the classes folder above the resources folder and app delegate and all that stuff. I'm going to keep it in there. So I'm going to go into the storyboard and get rid of this and drag a table view controller up there and try to run it and see how it looks so far. It failed. See all the classes that I imported. This dlog function because of arc is no longer needed, so I'm gonna have to fix that. And since I got rid of release, I gotta get rid of that as well. Again, I gotta fix all of these problems. Arc forbids. We don't have to do that in the new technique. Using storyboards in Arc, there is no longer a need for it. Get rid of auto release. When I do that, I also gotta get rid of these square brackets. There are a whole bunch of them. Oh my goodness, it's compiling. Cool. So at least at this point it's compiled. Another point to notice is that when I got the root view, when I imported the classes, root view controller came in as well, and that isn't needed anymore because in the new way we have app delegate and main. There is a main method and app delegate.m. You see app delegate. So root view controller is in there, but it's not going to be used. We'll take some of its code out and put it in the app delegate. And move it around in different classes where it might be needed. Yeah, you see there's the main files, the app delegate, and root view controller isn't needed anymore. We're going to move the files around, possibly in view controller. So at this point we need a class. Let's see if this one inherits from table view controller. Yeah, UI root view controller inherits from table view controller. So it is almost possible to use, yeah, instead of the view controller, get rid of the view controller, move to trash, and use the root view controller instead. Like that. We want to move that into discard me, right in there somewhere. So in the storyboard, table view controller, its custom class is going to be root view controller, and its ID is also going to be root view controller. So if I run it, see what kind of errors I get so I can fix them. Oh my god, that's all I had to do, and this application is now working just as it was, using the storyboards, arc, but everything else just fit right in. This is amazing. I'm gonna put a message in and a rating view M file as well, and a slog method, so I can see what it's doing and when it's doing it. Okay, I was hoping for it to find. Rating view probably isn't used in hybrid view, so I'm gonna go and play around with it and see. Okay, now I wanna use, is it used with this one, individual? Yeah, you see individual uses the rating subview. So now let's look at these classes. Individual subview. It is using an application cell, temp cell, and its array data, and a UI nib, cell nib, referring to our zip-based table cell view, which is should be under resources somewhere. It is right here under resources, individual subview based application right here. Yeah, you see the first one is designed by making a zip file and putting an image there, the name of the publisher, price, etc. So that's how the first technique is doing it. So if you go back in there again, individual, no, that's not, is it? I'm gonna close. Yeah, individual subview.am file, individual sub, yeah, that's the one. So it uses an IB outlet for the image view, label view, rating view, and so on and so forth. And in the set background method, setting some icon, background color is going to be this, publisher label is going to be that, set the icon and all that stuff is going on here. So that's how that one is set up, individual. So if we go into that zip file, you see its custom class is set as individual subviews based application cell, which is this one. So it is hooked up. This zip file is hooked up to this class. And that's how they created the IB outlets. I am going to go back and do the clutter, move that a little bit over here, move this here, open the assistant editor. So if I was to go in here and I clicked on root view controller, no, that's not the right one, is it? If I come here, yeah, you see, it appears to me that if I control click at this point, I should be able to see. Okay, you see the referencing outlet, temp cell, goes to the file's owner. Icon view outlets are set up, and they are set up in delegate. Where's the delegate? So this thing, this cell view was created by creating this table cell view up here, then dragging a UI label, and you can tell by looking at the class that this is a UI table view cell. This is a UI image view, a label, a label, a label, another label, and this little sign right there is, if you go here, says accessory, none, it disappeared, accessory disclosure indicator, detail is that one. So that's how this star came into being. And if I control click, you see it says that it's hooked up to an referencing outlet, and I will find it in individual subview based application cell. There must be a class, and we know there is. So if I even open that up in the assistant editor, that isn't the one. Dot H. Yeah, UI table view application cell inherits from application cell. That's the one. And if I was to go in here and open up the assistant editor, I get hybrid. If I go individual cell based application, open up the assistant editor, I get, yeah, now see, now there was something wrong. Now I get the right associated file, which is .h file, individual subviews based application .m file. I can tell by looking up here. Now that, yeah, that's the right one. Now there, and you see how there's an outlet, UI image view for the label, a rating view. It's using another one of the classes, this one right here. The rating view stars come from this one. Yep, rating view inherits from UI view. There's a float, there's an image view for the background, image view for the right one, float rating, and init with frame, init with coding, set rating, and on a underscore common init function creates those little pictures, stars background, stars foreground.png, and those things are in here. So that's the one, and how exactly it shows 4 stars and stuff, we'll come to it later. But the individual subview application, of course, now it's connected to that UI view. As it loads up, sets up, we can, here are some set icon, publisher, rating, properties. Set background method, that's all there is to it. So rating view, so that's why they call it the individual subview. It uses this and that. Now in the root view controller, where is the root view controller? Well, it's right here under discard me, this group, root view controller. Now the root view controller, of course, we looked at it, I showed you earlier. We have 3 macros saying which cell one to use. So if use individual subviews, if that one's set, we are coming down, table view properties, data path. Now data path, let's look at that one now that we are here. There is a, under resources, a data list.plist. So in another tutorial I show how to use that. We add a plist and then add some properties, data type. It's like a little database. Name, data type, its value, and there are 6 of them. So in the here I'm reading it. And a string, data path, main bundle, path resources, data type is plist, and from there I loaded in NS array with contents of file, data path, right there. So that data list.plist gets loaded as an NS array. It's defined right there in the root view controller. So now we got an array as opposed to typing it up here. It's typed up using data list.plist user interface. Actually, it's so that's all loaded in the array. Self.cell nib, UI nib with file individual. So here we are cell UI nib is cell nib. We are loading cell nib from the nib file. Once we have that, number of sections that's coming from is 1, data.count, that is coming from the plist, and we've been looking at it, cells for row at index path. Now that is an important one. We'll have to revisit it. Actually, why revisit it? Let's come up here. Static and a string, cell identifier, application cell. Application cell is going to be, so that's a generic type. Application cell is going to be this one. And now a concrete instance of the cell is going to be set either to individual from the nib file, composite from the composite class, hybrid from the hybrid class. So its concrete instance of the cell depends on these 3 conditions. So if we understand that, we can move forward. This one was real easy. Grading view, we saw how it sets up some image properties. We'll understand it more as we go later. Now the next option was Composite. What does composite one do? Composite one takes, if we look at its .h file, UI view, cell content view. It draws its own rectangle. Icon, the name, and it draws them at. Now this is being done programmatically as opposed to the user interface. So you got to know exactly where you want to position stuff. It takes that one, rating, price size, rating image, origin. Everything is done by programmatically. Composite subview based application cell, init with style. Auto resize, cell content view, and again the set frames rectangle size. The third one is hybrid. The hybrid one uses two UIs, a label and the UI view, cell content view. Some properties, macros being set, interface, application cell, and that cell is going to be init with frame, cell, opaque, yes, some properties. In the draw rectangular method, main magic going on. The icon is going to be here at this point, highlighted, tertiary operator, highlighted, UI color white set, otherwise set the other one. I think in the Objective-C tutorials I talk about this is the tertiary operator, question mark and a colon. Cell name at this, cell.name is going to be drawn at this point. Image is going to be this one, highlighted yes or no. That's used by right here, underscore highlighted. That's determining if highlighted is going to be yes or no. Init with style, reuse identifier. Cell content view. It's going to be like that. Price label. Set the background. So there's how 3 different techniques to draw the cells. So let's say if I was to go in root view controller, set this to 0 and use the hybrid one, I should be able to go in here and set some breakpoints to see in what order they run and what are they doing. The main functions. So now if I run it, here we go. First of all, it runs init with style. Here's a cell content view. Here's a UI view, and programmatically being created. So first one is that. Second one is set the price point, set the background color. Again, it's going to repeatedly create those labels. If I go easily, I can remove all these breakpoints. Say delete these breakpoints. Continue. Here we go. Now we have drawn it using the hybrid technique.